Have you ever wondered why, even when you're trying to do everything right, your life still feels full of doubts, frustrations, and that lingering sense that something is missing? Have you ever felt like you're constantly running but not getting anywhere? If you're hearing this right now, maybe it's because there's one answer you haven't truly tried yet: God first. This isn't just a nice phrase or a religious theory. It's a real decision that can change absolutely everything. Today, you're going to hear the story of someone who was lost, drained, and empty, until they made a decision that completely turned things around. This video will show you more than just a story. It will guide you through a journey that may look a lot like your own: ups and downs, moments of pain, deep questions, and a surprising turnaround. By watching until the end, you'll understand how one simple choice can transform how you live, love, work, and dream, and more. You'll discover that what your life may be missing isn't one more achievement, but God in the right place. First, stay with Met. His could change everything. And maybe, if you're listening to this right now, you know exactly what that feels like. Maybe you're right there, living a busy life but spiritually empty, surrounded by commitments, but far from purpose. Doing your best but feeling like you're at your worst. The truth is, when God isn't at the center, everything else spins in vain. And in this endless rush of life, he was about to discover what truly matters. Not through success but through pain. Because sometimes only when everything falls apart do we begin to see what really holds us up. And then everything collapsed. What he had tried so hard to hold together started crumbling before his eyes. The job that once felt secure became uncertain. Friendships faded. Nights once filled with distractions turned into silence, anxiety, and tears hidden in his pillow. He had nowhere else to run. Life had cornered him. Everything he had used as a shield, money, image, status, was gone. For the first time he was emotionally naked, without masks, without scripts, just him. And the pain felt like drowning, like trying to breathe underwater. His heart was beating, but it felt too heavy to go on. He tried to be strong, tried to keep it together. But inside, there was a silent scream, an existential exhaustion that no one could see. The pain was so deep. He began to wonder if there was even a point in continuing. The emptiness that was once manageable had become unbearable. It was as if life had taken everything away to show that, in the end, he had nothing solid to lean on. And in the middle of that chaos, one question surfaced. Where is God in all this? Not as an accusation but as a call. An echo rising from the depths of his soul, as if something, or someone, was trying to reach him. It was there on the floor, through tears and silence, that he realized maybe this wasn't the end, but the beginning. Because sometimes, God allows our structures to collapse so he can rebuild a life grounded in what truly matters. And at that exact moment, he opened himself to the only thing left. God, the one he'd ignored for so long, was now his only hope. And when everything else was gone, only God remained. For the first time in years he stopped. Not to plan, not to chase something, but to listen. And in that silence, among the ruins of the life he had built with his own hands, he did something simple yet profound. He prayed. It wasn't a pretty, rehearsed prayer, nor filled with religious words. It was raw, honest, heavy with pain and humility. He simply said, God, I can't do this anymore. If you're there, show me what to do. And God responded, not with an audible voice, but with peace. A peace beyond explanation, that filled his heart like balm after a storm. That was where everything began to change. From that day on, he made a decision that seemed small but was the most important of his life: to put God first. Not as an abstract idea but as practice. Before any decision, prayer. Before any choice, seeking. Before any plan, surrender. He started each day in silence, reading the Word, praying, aligning with heaven before facing earth. And little by little, things began to make sense. He no longer depended on others' approval because he understood his identity in God. He stopped living for achievements because he realized he was already complete in the presence of the Creator. He stopped chasing what only drained his time and started walking at the rhythm of God's will. This choice didn't bring a perfect life, but it brought an aligned life. And what was broken began to be restored. The wounds began to heal. He started to see with new eyes, hear with new ears, and live with a renewed heart. And it wasn't coincidence. It was consequence. Because when God is in first place, everything else finds its true place. That was the turning point. Not magical but spiritual. Not instant but transformational. And it was just the beginning of a new story. With this new path, the transformation became evident not just in big moments but in the small details of everyday life. The peace that was once rare now settled consistently, lighting up the darkest corners of his existence and bringing with it a sense of renewal and purpose. Each sunrise felt like an invitation to begin again, as if the sun itself insisted on reaffirming that change was real and possible. The smile now on his face didn't come from temporary achievements, but from the conviction that true stability and joy come when God is at the center of life. His eyes, once filled with fatigue and doubt, now shone with restored hope and unshakable faith. His relationships also went through significant transformation. An aligned life. Love and trust, what was broken, overshadowed by empty ambitions and endless began to heal, found space to flourish. He started to see with new friends eyes, and family noticed the change, and realizing that the transformation wasn't sudden, wasn't coincidence, but the result of a journey of self-discovery and surrender. Because when God is in first place, like a sincere hug or a word of encouragement, its true place, gained profound meaning and revealed the essence of a life aligned with eternal values. Not forgiveness, but transformation and humility became natural traits. And it was just the beginning of a new story, proving that when God becomes the foundation, the transformation became evident not just in big moments, becomes an opportunity for growth of everyday life. Professionally and personally, the peace that was once rare now settled consistently, had an impactful reflection, lighting up the darkest corners of his existence, his creativity and leadership emerged with authenticity, showing that true strength felt like an invitation to begin again. In moments of solitude, itself insisted divine on reaffirming that change was real and possible. Turning silence into comfort, the smile now on his face didn't come from temporary achievements. Each challenge became a growth opportunity, that true stability and joy come when God is at the center of life. Looking back, he saw a path full of lessons with fatigue and the transformative now shone with restored hope and unshakable faith. Each step taken with God leading carried a new sense of direction, as if everything was finally beginning to make sense. What once was confusing now had clarity, and the heart that had once been shattered now beat with purpose and gratitude. And now that you've heard this story, the question is, where have you placed God in your life? Maybe you identified with every phase, the exhaustion, the endless pursuit, the emptiness, the fall, the transformation. Or maybe you're right in the middle of the pain, feeling like you can't go on, trying to appear strong while everything inside you is crumbling. If that's you, know this. You're not hearing this by accident. God speaks in unexpected ways, and today He is calling you back, not to religion, not to rules, but to a real, deep, personal reconnection. He wants your heart, not your performance. Think with me. What has taken the center of your life? Your job, your image, someone else, your own desires. Because anything you place above God becomes a burden, a prison disguised as freedom. But when He returns to His rightful place, first, everything begins to align. Doesn't mean life becomes perfect, but it makes sense. Emptiness gives way to presence. Confusion surrenders to peace. Anxiety is overcome by trust. You don't have to hit rock bottom to change. You can choose now. Take a deep breath, close your eyes for a second and say, God, I want to put you first. And that's what this story wants to remind you. No matter where you are, how far you've gone, or how much you've messed up, God is still waiting for you. The first step isn't to achieve. It's to surrender. And it all begins there. If this story spoke to you, then take this challenge. Simple, direct, but powerful. For the next 7 days, before anything else, put God first. When you wake up, don't grab your phone. Don't go straight to notifications. First, close your eyes, talk to God, read a verse, surrender your day into His hands. Do it with sincerity, not as an empty ritual, but as a conscious choice to say, Lord, I place you above everything. And watch how your day changes, how your decisions become more peaceful, how your mind feels lighter. Because when you give up control, God begins to align what you didn't even know was out of place. And here's the invitation. Comment below if you accept this challenge. Tell me how your journey is going, what this story awakened in you. Maybe your comment is exactly what someone else needs to read. And if this message touched your heart, share this video with someone who needs to hear it right now. Someone who is at their limit, tired, lost, and needs to remember that there is still hope. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay with us. Because here, you'll always find stories, messages, and truths that will draw you closer to God. Remember, God doesn't want to be your last resort. He wants to be your first step. And when He comes first, everything else finds its place. The story you heard today might be similar to yours. But the next story to be told could be yours. It only takes one choice. And that choice can begin right now.